Hello, my name is Jake Cohen. I am a recording arts student at Full Sail, and in this video I will be talking about legendary producer, arranger, musician, studio designer, and pretty much anything else in the music industry you can think of, George Martin. George Martin, he's always really been passionate about music. From the time he was 6 years old, he started taking piano lessons on his family's piano. He joined the Navy when he was 17, and when he was there, he continued to write music compositions, and he sent them to an acquaintance of his who was a professor at a music school. This eventually helped him out when he came back home 4 years later at the age of 21, and he had no career, but he still loved music. So this music professor that he knew got him an audition at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and he wound up going there to study oboe and piano. And this training allowed him to get a job at the classical music department at BBC. And later, his first real foray into the music industry, which was a job at the Paraphone record label of EMI Records. When he was there, he got to record all kinds of different music like jazz, ballads, and even Scottish dance music. But his main focus when he was there was actually novelty and comedy music, working with legendary British comedian Peter Sellers and very influential British comedy stage show Beyond the Fringe. And he did this for a while. But he always had this urge to kind of experiment and push the envelope further than what he was doing. So in 1955, his boss retired and he became the head of the Paraphone label. So he was starting to do A&R and looking for bands and stuff. And he really wanted to experiment. And the label really had never done anything like rock and roll or anything like that. They were mainly the novelty kind of label. But he was really interested in signing a rock and roll band. So his friend introduced him to this guy named Brian Epstein, who at the time was managing this little band called the Beatles. This is in 1962. Martin met with them, had them audition, and eventually signed them. In his work with the Beatles, he was a producer. He also played instruments on some of the records. He played a little piano, but did a lot as an arranger. You can hear a lot of the really lush, amazing string and brass, woodwind arrangements that he did in songs like Eleanor Rigby, Penny Lane, and one of my favorites in particular, Strawberry Fields Forever. They recorded multiple different versions of that song, one of which had a big horn arrangement and a lot more instrumentation. Another was more calm and kind of sparse. John Lennon wanted both of those in the song. Now, the main problem with that is that they were in different keys and had different tempos, so if you just slapped them together, it wouldn't sound right at all. But what George Martin did, it was part of his brilliance as a producer, along with the engineer Jeff Emmerich. They were able to splice the takes together by speeding up the first one and slowing down the second one so that they would be at the same tempo and the same key, and the transition would work smoothly. He said the writing of the parts is me, and the requirements is them. Meaning that he kind of just let them be themselves and experiment in the way they wanted to, and he obliged whatever they needed and was able to get it to where it needed to be. After the Beatles broke up in the end of the 60s, he continued work with his production company, Associated Independent Recordings. He actually built a recording studio in central London in 1969, followed by another one in 79 in Montserrat in the Caribbean, and now he's actually repurposed a church to build the new London studio. In those studios in this time, he went on to record people like Jeff Beck, Kenny Rogers, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and Cheap Trick. He also arranged music for the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002. George Martin was one of the most influential people in music history. He did everything across the field, from designing studios, to arranging, to writing music, and of course producing. He's someone that I always look up to and admire for his love of music and his willingness to always push the envelope and experiment in the studio. And that's a spirit that I think we should never forget.